Now, Queensbridge houses is the biggest projects in New York City. And with it being the biggest projects in New York City, that means a lot of people is bunched up in bad conditions living on each other. So just like every other projects in New York City, you got to find a way to get some money and hopefully get up out of them conditions. And in these poverty conditions, you may find yourself doing whatever you got to do to make it out. From selling drugs, robbing people, scamming, you name it. And when you live in this type of lifestyle, you know what come with it. Violence, jail time, and you might not even make it to see another day. But it is some people that find a way to make it out these bad conditions, whether that's rapping or playing ball. And in this video, we're going to speak on some issues from people that made it out of the hood or had some success in the hood, and they ended up beefing with each other. Hell up at Queensbridge.
86 buildings to Queensbridge Houses is the largest housing development in North America, and for years its reputation was sullied by gang violence and shootings. But this year, a turnaround. The city made a major investment here at the Queensbridge Houses, noticing a trend of violence. They installed new lights, new door locks, and it's worked. Not a single shooting in a year. Only Pix 11's cameras were there as Mayor Bill de Blasio toured the sprawling development. He stopped in the spot where the last homicide happened.
True warrior Ron Artest. You know, when I ain't smacking people around on the basketball court, I'm chilling with my dog, Smack DVD.
Now, Metta World Peace has somewhat a successful basketball career, winning the NBA Defensive Player of the Year in 2004 and also winning an NBA championship with the LA Lakers in 2010. Despite the fact that World Peace made it to the NBA, he's still from Queensbridge Projects, one of the toughest projects in New York City. Now, even though Ron Artest was raised in a tough environment, he still managed to play college basketball at St. John's University from 97 to 99 and was eventually drafted to the Chicago Bulls in 1999. Metta World Peace himself in the DVD era tried to pursue a rap career, just like other hip-hop artists from his neighborhood. Now, World Peace has shared a story on Vlad TV of how he seen Capone of CNN shoot at the police.
Capone is like from Queensbridge.
Yeah.
I was there when Capone shot the cop. I don't know if he hit the cop. I was young, but I remember he shot. I seen him running. He's a lefty. He played basketball. He's a lefty. I remember his shoe went to left. I think he let one off. Did some time. Then he came back. You know, when he came home and Noyd had him on the plane and everything with the mink on. I forget what video that was.
Now, the video Ron Artest is talking about Capone coming home in a mink coat and all that is the Phone Time video off of CNN's Reunion album. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Ron Artest might be getting the incidents that Capone was locked up for at the time mixed up. I believe Capone was locked up at this time he's talking about for a parole violation, the same parole violation he caught where he couldn't finish the CNN War Report album, and he actually came home February 99 if I'm not mistaken. But if y'all know better than me, get in the comment section and let me know. Now, after Capone came home in 99, for the most part, he stayed out of jail, minus a few minor arrests. And he'll also go on and drop 3 solo albums for Pain, Time, and Glory, Menace to Society, and Revenge is a Promise. And also 4 albums with Nori at CNN for The Reunion, Channel 10 in 2009, The War Report 2, and Lessons in 2015. Now, Lakey the Kid is one of the most authentic rappers to come up around the time in the DVD era. Lake was another rapper that hit the scene coming out of Queensbridge Projects and put on for his city. Now, Lakey the Kid was also a member of the Goodfellas, and he's also responsible for putting out the 41st Side album in 2001 and bringing a lot of rappers from the hood together. Now, he also did some jail time, and he did 7 years for attempt murder and ended up coming home in 1999. He definitely lived a very interesting life, from being stabbed in his stomach while he was asleep and even catching a case for shooting at police, but ended up beating it. Lakey the Kid seems to be much more mature nowadays and moved on to bigger and better things, like even publishing his own book called The Fora, and you could go get that off thefora.com.
Yeah, I seen Lakey the Kid shoot a couple. I seen Lakey the Kid, do a couple things.
Now, originally, Lakey the Kid and Prodigy were cool. They had a few mutual friends, so they had somewhat a good relationship. Now, we all know Prodigy isn't from Queensbridge, so Lakey was friends with Havoc first, and a lot of the goons from Queensbridge in the neighborhood gave Havoc a lot of respect because of their love and respect for his brother Killer Black. Now, after being released from prison, Lakey the Kid had the mindset of linking up with his fellow rappers from the neighborhood so they could do something productive. He felt like instead of robbing and extorting them, it would be better if they came together. And he basically used the lavish lifestyle that his peers like Nas and Cormega was living to motivate him to get more for him and his people. Now, according to Prodigy, he says back in 1999, he seen Lakey the Kid when he first came home from prison and invited him to the Mobb Deep album release party at the Tunnel for their Murder Music album. Now, the day of the party, he said he gave Lakey the Kid about 12 passes to get in and supposedly told him to get there early because the passes were only good till about 11 p.m. Now, being that Big Noyd took long, Mobb Deep didn't get to the tunnel till around 1 a.m. Now, Prodigy says he tried his hardest to get Lakey and his guys in the tunnel. He even told security to make sure they got him because they all had passes, and he also left one of his people by the door to make sure they got in. But Lakey the Kid remembered things a little bit different. Now, according to Lake, he says he tried to get in the tunnel with the passes Prodigy gave him, but the passes weren't valid. So Lakey and his guys waited 3 to 4 hours outside. Now, when the mob reached the tunnel, they entered in another exit, and Prodigy gave his word to Lakey that he'll get him inside. But according to Lakey the Kid, when he did speak to Prodigy on the phone in regards to getting him inside the club, it seemed like P was playing games, and he never really had intentions of getting him inside the club in the first place. Now, Lakey called Prodigy a few more times, but didn't get an answer because P had his phone turned off. So at this point, the people that Lakey came with feel like Mobb Deep played them by not getting them inside. Now, according to Lakey, he said his people wanted to get at them anyway. Now, this just put the icing on the cake. Now, after Mobb Deep left the tunnel, Prodigy and Lakey would speak outside about them not getting in the tunnel and also to let them know the people that he came with, cars were stolen in the process. Now, there was some kind of dispute over them cars that were stolen, but Prodigy felt like it wasn't his fault, so he said he wasn't paying for it. Now, according to Lakey, being that P didn't want to pay for the cars that were stolen, his people felt disrespected and wanted to get at Prodigy. Now, as Prodigy and Lakey were having a conversation about the situation, supposedly Sherm the Worm hopped out the car. He went to Prodigy, hit him with a 2-piece, and knocked him out. As he knocked him out, he went around his neck and took off his chain. Now, according to Lakey, he said Prodigy was getting beat so bad he literally was crying on the ground. Now, supposedly one of P's people tried to step in for Prodigy, but he was threatened by Worm, so he fell back and got back in the car. But eventually, Lakey was able to calm things down, so he picked Prodigy off the ground and helped him back in his car. Now, according to Prodigy, at this point, he just felt like he was set up by Lakey the Kid. So now P is in his car, and he pulled out his gun out the stash with intentions of shooting the car up that Lakey and Worm was in, but he decided not to because he had people in that car like Cormega. Now, Lakey says that's cap because if P wanted to shoot anybody, he had every opportunity to do so. Now, as far as Lakey setting up P, Lake says he didn't have anything to do with it, and if he wanted to rob Prodigy, he could have because he was at his house every day in Long Island when he first came home. Now, Prodigy feels like Lakey was being sneaky and was basically trying to friendly extort them. So supposedly after Prodigy was beat up and robbed for his chain, he said he no longer rocked with Lakey the Kid. But the next day he said he did meet up with Lakey to get his chain back. Now, when he met up with Lakey the Kid, Prodigy says that Lakey invited him to the Hit Factory to come hang out with Nas and others. And he said he actually went to the Hit Factory. He came with his gun and he came with a black guy. And he said Worm almost broke his nose, but he still came through to show them that he ain't give a uck. Now, on a Sub-Zero DVD, when Prodigy was asked about this whole situation, he went on to say F Lakey the Kid and his muscles, and he'll shoot Lakey the Kid in his muscles.
Try to extort nigga and put pressure on. He's like, fuck you, nigga, and your muscles, nigga. Shoots in one of your muscles, like straight up and down, huh?
Now, after the whole altercation happened with Mobb Deep, after they performed at the tunnel, there'd be another situation that go down with Big Noyd and Sherm the Worm when they got back in their hood. Now, supposedly, they seen Big Noyd driving down 21st, and they got him to pull over. He hopped out to have a conversation with Lake. Now, while he was talking to Lake, Sherm the Worm gets a beer bottle from his homeboy and hits Noyd upside the head with the beer bottle and then took his chain. Now, supposedly, when Noyd got his chain taken, it was already a green light on them. You get what I'm saying? After they took Prodigy chain, so it was a green light on anybody that ran with them. Now, Prodigy was able to get his chain back because E Moneybags and Troy reached out to Sherm. Now, Sherm said him and his guys already came to an agreement that if Lakey made that call that Prodigy had to get his chain returned, they was going to do so because he felt what he did was wrong. being that he was on Lakey the Kid time and Lakey ain't have nothing to do with it. Now, Lakey the Kid decided that Prodigy should get his chain back, and Sherman the Worm said the honorable thing was to give it back, but they don't take nothing and give it back without you paying. So I guess he either wanted to be paid for the cars that was stolen at the tunnel or want to be paid to return the chain. Now, according to Sherman the Worm, Prodigy and Havoc both gave him their numbers, but when he contacted P, he was in the hospital at the time due to his sickle cells. But he did get to run into Havoc at the club, and Havoc basically told him, even though it's between him and P, he was going to make sure he'd still be paid. Now, supposedly, Chris Lighty got involved with the whole situation, and he gave Sherman the money he wanted. Now, I'm not sure if Big Noyd ever got his chain back, though.
Now, we definitely with a Queensbridge Projects legend, HB. He was around for the whole fight at Central Park. He was around for a lot of things, Death Row East with Suge Knight and Lakey the Kid. You know what I'm saying? He was the youngest in charge with Lakey the Kid. Just explain to them who you is.
Yo, this is HB. What's going on, DVD era? Coming straight out of Queensbridge, 40 side to be exact. You know what I'm saying? Came up around a lot of great individuals from my area, you know, like Lakey the Kid, Super Ed. You know what I'm saying? Straight out of Queensbridge.
Tell the people who you were connected to in QB and affiliated with, and what was your role and position.
Good question. Well, like I said before, I'm from the 40 side of 10th Street. You know what I'm saying? If you're familiar with 40 side of 10th Street, you know, that's the same block as has the Reese Center. So, you know, I came up under, like I mentioned before, Lake, Soup. You know, they from my block. Soup is my bro. So at the end of the day, you know, them being 10 years my senior, you know, he was a connection to Lake and Cormega. I came up under that, the Goodfellas. They like all, you know, were all my big bros. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to them, Lake, Soup, Cormega, like all the, you know, GF dudes.
Okay, so you say you affiliated with Lakey the Kid, but name some other artists from Queensbridge that you got a relationship with as well.
I would say besides Lake, I would say Cormega. I probably know the most, you know, being around him growing up, and have a relationship with him, just running around as a, you know what I'm saying, young adult with these guys, you know what I'm saying? So I'll probably say Cormega. Like, you know, I met Nas, I've been around him, but like a real personal relationship, maybe Mega, I guess you could say.
Now, I know you know Lake and Cormega personally, but let the people know, like, the rappers from the bridge that you've been around, like, it's a whole bunch of them.
All of them, you know what I'm saying, at different points in time, just, you know, some of them just seeing in around the projects, or just maybe, you know, music industry type functions, video shoots and things of that nature. So I done been around them all. Nas, Mobb Deep, Tragedy, Capone, you know what I'm saying, Noyd, all of them. But those guys, I probably maybe been around Nas the most was when Lake had business dealings with Nas. So, you know, we had a lot of dealings with them moving around. Been to Miami with Nas, been to concerts with Nas, a lot of different things. I remember one time, me and Lake went and got me. I went to a fight with Nas. I forgot who was fighting. This was in 2004. I just came home from I caught a gun charge. I caught a bullet on the island. This one you could just do a year on the island. But when I came home, Lake schooled me, and we went to a fight with Nas, but we met a guy there. He had a suit on, and he had a scar on his face that stood out to me. Later on, Lake told me that it was Jimmy Henchman. So me, Lake, Nas, and Jimmy Henchman went to a boxing fight in 2004. Like I said, that's over 20 years ago, so I don't remember who was fighting, but word. Yeah, I know all the rappers from my hood.
Now, I see you on the 41st Side album cover. Now, this album has a lot of known artists from Queensbridge on it, and for you to be on the cover is kind of a big deal. Explain, like, how that all went down, how you end up being on the cover of this album.
Well, Lake was working on the album for a little minute, Lake and Soup or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Soup, my brother Soup executive produced the album, him and Lake. So at the end of the day, they've been working on it. I had different records they had, like the record they had with CNN or the record they had with Nas. The record they had with Nas was one of the last records they got, but, you know what I'm saying, Crush Lennon, you know what I'm saying, Lake brought all the artists from the hood together. That's what Lake was about, unity, you know what I'm saying. That leads into even going on to later on with the Central Park, some was about unity. You know, there's a lot of misconceptions, like he came on some other shit. But to answer your question, you know, just one day Soup came and got me like, we doing a photo shoot. We went over there. Capone from Capone and Noreaga was there. You know what I'm saying? Mike DeLorean from Bars and Hugs. There was a couple of people, man. Artillery. Ty, my man Ty Sleeves was there. Fly Ty on the album. He's on the song on the album. I didn't make the album, but I was on the cover. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but Littles and Prodigy was both on the 41st Side album. So, you know, that shows you right there it's all love. You know, it's all love. It was just a QB politic type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, they was both on the album. Plus many others, you know what I'm saying, from the hood.
Now, I hear you say you was around Mobb Deep, and I know Lake is your man, and Lake and Prodigy didn't always see eye to eye. So tell me, like, what was your position in the whole beef with Lake and Prodigy?
Well, let me just say this. At the end of the day, you know, we all black men trying to get out the ghetto, get out the hood. So, you know, it's just, you know, situations be just, you know, different disagreements or different situations that ball out of hand. Sometimes it may be, you know, just over a misunderstanding that some conversation can fix, you know what I'm saying? Like I keep saying, I'm 10 years younger than these guys. Even Mobb Deep, they were older than me. So I didn't have no personal relationship with them. So at the end of the day, whichever way the team fell, that's how I feel, you know what I'm saying? Whichever way Lake, that's how I'm on whatever time he is on, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, Hav was always cool. That's the bro from the hood, you know what I'm saying? P said, you know, different things that, you know, was maybe could considered out of line. So, you know, it's different things, but I'm not really connected to those situations like that.
Now, first off, rest in peace to Prodigy. That man is no longer here, so he can't rebuttal anything that's being said about him now. You get what I'm saying? But it was rumors that your crew and Prodigy team got in a fight at Central Park, and supposedly Lakey's side of the team got stabbed up. Just reiterate or explain what happened that day. You get what I'm saying? Because I heard you was there.
I'm saying rest in peace, Prodigy, and condolences to his family. And yes, I was there at Central Park, and it was a situation that went down. But you know, I heard things and I seen stuff on YouTube. I never actually read Prodigy's book. So, but I got the gist of what he was saying. Like, basically, he was stabbing people and all this, which didn't happen, you know. But, like, also, Lake has a book out right now called The Flora, which you definitely got to check out. I want all you got to go check it. It really, you know, talks about his journey in the streets and talks about different things that us as black men deal with coming up, you know, and out these ghettos and these inner city places. And he also speaks on, you know, the perspective of how he looked at it and the situation and how the conflict, you know, really came to be. And, you know, it was more of a situation between Lake and Littles was basically holding Mobb Deep down. So it was basically a situation with us in his camp, which nobody got stabbed. You know, it was a light scuffle, you know what I'm saying? But police was right there. So nothing really went down like that. But the aftermath of what happened in the projects, after that, it was definitely some things going down, which I was involved in from the situations, you know, that escalated from the situation that happened there, carried over into the projects. So that's where it was really getting the action, which really wasn't Mobb Deep per se. Like, none of them was really involved with it. So it wasn't really a Mobb Deep issue. It really was like Lake and Littles and our crews going and had our situation. And I also want to see rest in peace to Shaheem. That's Little's brother. You know, he's a good dude, and I had a lot of respect for him. We grew past these situations. Like I said, this happened 20 years ago. So, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, it's all love to everybody involved in the situation because, you know, we grown men. We trying to get money, raise these kids. That's what it's about. But it was definitely, you know, we was definitely laying the law down after that situation. Like, we was, you know, I was on everything moving. I was on everything moving after that. But like I said, get the book, The Flora, so you can really get the back story on that. You know, I'm telling from my perspective, but I'm just giving you, you know, basically the layout. But y'all got to get the book. It's out now. You go to the website, theflora.com. And one last thing to add to the whole Central Park situation, you got to get the book. The name of the chapter is Victim of Reputation. And basically, the situation in Central Park, Lake was being a victim of his reputation. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, people, you got to view yourself how people view you, not how you view yourself. So you could be coming in peace, but you already have this reputation. So, you know, at the end of the day, it could be a situation where Littles was reacting to Lake's reputation. You know what I'm saying? There's a backstory behind what the conversation was about that led to the altercation. But like I said, you got to get the book to really know what really went down. I'm giving you the gist of it. to really know what's going on with it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, in these streets, in life, you could be a victim of your reputation.
Now, Big Noyd will release his debut album for Episodes of a Hustler, which charted at number 59 on the top R&B and hip-hop albums, but only sold 30,000 copies. Now, not too long after Big Noyd released his debut album, he'll be sentenced to 1 and 3 years in jail for shooting someone who disrespected his baby moms. Now, Big Noyd will also find himself on the opposite side of the gun as well. Now, supposedly, Big Noyd will be involved in a feud with another crew, and after Big Noyd was kicked to the ground, he'll cut the face of one of his rivals with a razor. Now, it's said the guy that Big Noyd cut in the face with the razor will come back the next day, shooting Big Noyd in his leg, hand, and arm. Now, it's not clear what year this took place, but Big Noyd would survive this attack and live on and go and do big things. Now, when you think of rappers from Queensbridge, you think of Nas, Mobb Deep, Big Noyd, Tragedy Gaddafi, Littles, Lakey the Kid, Capone, Cormega, Nature, and the list goes on. But from all the commercial success of Nas' 1994 debut album Illmatic and Nas mentioning Cormega name, Cormega would start to get a buzz, and everybody started to wonder who Cormega was.
Illmatic came out in 1994, and I'm the most shouted out on the whole album. So if I'm gonna thank Nas for shouting my name out and for making my name like mythical.
Not only would Nas shout out Cormega on his Illmatic album, he also will be featured on Nas' 1996 album It Was Written on a track called Affirmative Action with other members of the Firm. Now, this record was like an introduction to the Firm and a rollout to get into the Firm album. Now, the Firm was a group of Nas who was managed by Steve Stout, Dr. Dre was the producer, and members such as AZ, Foxy Brown, and Cormega. Now, it was 1997 and Cormega buzz would be through the roof, and it's even said that it would be somewhat of a bidding war for him to sign a record deal, but being that Def Jam offered him the most money, he signed to Def Jam.
If there's 20 labels out popping at the time, 18 of them wanted to sign. I just so happened making a mistake of signing with the label that offered me the most money.
Now, it was said that Cormega and Nas was already having problems, but once Cormega signed his deal with Def Jam, him and Nas wouldn't be the same. Now, according to Mega, he offered to break off Nas some of his money after signing his deal with Def Jam, being that Nas played a big role in him getting signed, but Nas declined the offer. Now, shortly after signing his deal, Cormega would be kicked out of the Firm and replaced with another Queensbridge rapper by the name of Nature. You may know him from records like Nori's Band from TV and DJ's Kluk Fantastic 4-2, featuring the Locks, Cameron, and Fabulous. And not to mention, after Cormega fell out with Nas, he was dropped from Def Jam and never released his debut album, The Testament, under Def Jam as well. Now, Nature will be the replacement for Cormega, and around the summer of 1997, a freestyle will be put out by Nas featuring Mary J. Blige, Nori, and Nature that was on a DJ Clue mixtape, Illuminati 2. And on his freestyle, Nature had a verse going at Cormega, saying lines like, "Play me in the Firm house, that when you got your spot, Jack." Now, obviously, that line was him referring to him taking his spot in the Firm.
We go to the studio, we got everybody in there, Clue, Mary, everybody in there. And I just decided to just use this record right here to start some bullshit.
According to Nature, the powers that be that was around gassed him up to go at Cormega, so he did. That's why he took shots at him on that record. Now, when he say the powers that be, it could be Steve Stout, who was managing them at the time. Could be Dr. Dre, or even the Trackmasters, who was also producing for their album. Now, it's also said that Nature was at the radio talking spicy about Cormega as well. Now, this would lead up to Cormega and Nature having a physical altercation. Now, after Cormega felt disrespected, supposedly Cormega will pull up to Nature crib and let him know they had to fight for him disrespecting him. Now, it said these two will fight, and it said that Cormega would get the best of Nature, beating him up. Now, if you don't know, Cormega is trained at boxing, which explains why he was good with his hands, so it's not so far-fetched about him beating up Nature.
It's like a well-known fact that I was a boxer, a very good boxer at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody that's familiar with boxing, you know, you got novice, then you got open class, then you got pro.
Now, Cormega will do a record with Mike DeLorean called Never Personal, with this record to Nas and Nature, and they'll speak about this whole situation about Nature getting beat up by Cormega and his chain taken by Cormega homeboy. So supposedly it was Mega homeboy who took the chain. Now, Nature and Cormega back and forth would last for years, but eventually they'll squash their beef. And as years went on, you'll even see Cormega and Nature on stage together at an AZ live performance, and Cormega would even feature Nature on his 2014 album Mega Philosophy on a track called Divine Unity. Now, after Nature joined the firm in the late 90s alongside of Nas, he looked like he'll have a bright future. He also will open up Noreaga's Band for TV record and hold his own on a song with other big-name rappers at the time. But that wouldn't be the case because in 1998, while Nas was on tour, Nature was signed with the Trackmasters, cutting Nas out the deal after Nas spent a lot of time building Nature up as an artist. Now, Nas wanted Nature to wait for him to come home so he could do the deal the right way and he could be fully involved with the deal and give Nature the proper rollout with his cosign. But out of desperation, Nature was signed with the Trackmasters for $60,000. But being that Nature jumped the gun, it would seem like Nas would cut Nature off and wouldn't show up to his video for the ultimate high. Now, after Nas cut Nature off, Nature would drop a record coming at Nas called We Ain't Friends, where he had a lot of indirect bars going at Nas. Now, Nas would throw jabs back at Nature on his song Destroy and Rebuild off his Stillmatic album, saying lines like,
old lady pocketbook snatcher, car thief, course we ain't friends, you never stood on no block streets,
etc., etc.
He drew a picture of me that wasn't true to the people, and I couldn't kind of defend myself.
Now, after this record, Nature would respond back to Nas on a freestyle over Nas beats called Nas Is Not, and even threw jabs at the Bravehearts, and even had lines mentioning Nas' friend who passed away, Ill Will, saying talking Ill Will, never ever feeding his moms, while she live in Queensbridge, still eating at Wands. Now, that line right there, Nas and his people wasn't feeling. It definitely pushed the button, and supposedly from going at the Bravehearts and dropping lines about Ill Will, that'd get Nature beat up by Nas' crew, the Bravehearts. Now, when you look this situation up about Nature being jumped by the Bravehearts on Google, it says in hip-hop lore, it's believed that the Queensbridge rapper Nature was jumped by Nas' crew, the Bravehearts, due to escalating tensions between Nature and Nas. The conflict stemmed from a variety of business and personal issues, including Nature's public diss tracks aimed at Nas. Now, it also says after Nature disses grew more personal and disrespectful, particularly mentioning Nas' deceased friend Ill Will, the Bravehearts allegedly intervened with a physical attack. The incident has been long part of the rivalry narrative with the hip-hop community. Now, I've been hearing about this situation for years about the Bravehearts whipping out Nature. Jump in that comment section if you heard anything about this situation as well. Now, when it comes to the Bravehearts putting hands on Nature and jumping him, some people say that Nashawn from the Bravehearts is the one who put hands on Nature, because Nashawn's song dissing Nature, he said that he stomped Nature out. But it could be a case of the Bravehearts jumping Nature and Nashawn being the one to stomp Nature out. Hey, we won't know unless somebody speak and tell this story. Now, Nature album For All Seasons was mostly recorded in 1998, but didn't drop till about 2 years later in 2000. And when it finally dropped and came out, the buzz died out, and being that Nas ain't really have anything to do with it, it just was a flop, to be honest. Now, as far as Nas and Nature relationship, I believe they still not on good terms to this day, because Nas had a song on his album for King Disease called A Full Circle, and everybody from the firm was on his record except for Nature. He wasn't invited back on this track, so I guess him and Nas still not on good terms. So hopefully one day they can speak and piece things up. But jump in my comment section and let me know how y'all feel about this whole situation. Let me know if I was wrong about anything. Let me know if I forgot certain things out this situation. Let me know in the comment section. Now, I want to say this. I feel like Nature did bad. You get what I'm saying? He should have waited for Nas to get back in the country off the tour, wherever he was at, you know what I'm saying? And did the deal the way Nas wanted to structure it, because Nas helped him out a lot by pulling him into the whole firm situation. And, you know, Nas ain't have to do that, so I feel like Nature really jumped the gun. But playing devil's advocate in this situation, he may look at it like Nas was super up. You get what I'm saying? Nas is overseas right now doing his thing. And I'm going back to Queensbridge broke. Like, I need some paper. You get what I'm saying? Like, yo, like, I need paper. I ain't really got time to wait. And then that money right there in front of his face, he just took the opportunity. But it's like, just like if you got a business plan, and this is where a lot of people go wrong. You might have a business plan drawn out. You got a friend out of town, and you know he like, yo, this is going to be a lifetime opportunity right here. We going to eat off this for years. Our kids going to eat off this business opportunity. But then you run into another businessman, he be like, yo, I'll buy that business plan off you right now for $60,000. Now you just thinking like, damn, my friend, he already rich. You get what I'm saying? But I need this money right now. Like right now, he got $60,000 for me right now. You know, back in the 90s, 97, 98, $60,000 is equivalent to having $120,000 now. Like $60,000 right now is money. So imagine in the 90s when candy bars is only 50 cents, you get a pair of Air Force Ones for $80. You get what I'm saying? So to play devil's advocate, you know, Nature probably needed that bread really, really bad. And I just feel like he don't take accountability when he do these interviews. He just should keep it real, like, yo, I was wrong. I should have waited for Nas, you know what I'm saying? I went and signed with the track masters. I did bad, but I needed that money. Just take accountability. And if he wasn't going to wait for Nas to do the deal, he should have still gave Nas the heads up, because it's starting to look sneaky, like you ran, got a deal behind his back after I got you hot. Same thing with Cormega, so to say, you get what I'm saying? So he should have gave him the heads up, and maybe Nas could have had a situation for him like, yo, go over here, I'm going to have such and such to give you some money. Or he could have sent him some money or something to hold him over till you get back. Just my thoughts. But anyway, this is Hell Up in Queensbridge Volume 1. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. More content coming, and I'm out. 1.